US President Joe Biden held a telephonic conversation with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping. During the 2-hour-long phone call, Chinese President Xi Jinping warned Biden against playing with fire over Taiwan. In a statement, the Chinese media quoted Xi Jinping and said that the United States should abide by the One China principle, further asserting on how China firmly opposes Taiwan's independence and interference by external forces. However, according to a White House statement, Biden told Xi that the U.S. policy on Taiwan had not changed and that the United States strongly opposes unilateral efforts to change the status quo and undermine peace across the Taiwan Strait. Listen in.
They exchange views on Russia's war in Ukraine and the global impacts it is having. And then on Taiwan, President Biden underscored that the United States policy has not changed and that the United States strongly opposes unilateral efforts to change the status quo or undermine peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait. President Biden also raised the need to resolve the cases of American citizens who are wrongly detained or subject to exit bans in China, as well as long-standing concerns about human rights.
Now, the call on Thursday came at a time when U.S. President Joe Biden is finding new ways to work with China amid growing global competition and tensions between the two nations over a slew of issues like human rights, global health and economic issues. Meanwhile, in recent weeks, Beijing has issued escalating warnings over a potential visit to Taiwan by United States House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi, saying that it would view such a trip as a provocation. Earlier this week, U.S. President Joe Biden had expressed concerns over Pelosi's Taiwan visit, saying that the U.S. military officials believed that it was not a good idea for Pelosi to visit the island right now. Apart from contention over Taiwan, U.S. President Joe Biden also touched on a raft of other issues, including China's genocide and forced labor practices. For more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report from New York. Listen in.
U.S. President Joe Biden held his fifth conversation with his Chinese counterpart on Thursday. The conversation lasted more than 2 hours, and at the heart of the matter seemed to be the escalating tension between the two countries regarding Taiwan and a possible trip by U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to Taiwan. While there hasn't been any official announcement on whether or not Nancy Pelosi will be making this trip, if she does, she would be the first House Speaker to make this trip in 25 years, and this issue has rattled Beijing to the core. Many in private within the Biden administration and the military establishment have advised Nancy Pelosi not to take this trip in a bid not to escalate tension between Beijing and Washington. However, many within the political realm say that if Nancy Pelosi does not take this trip or cancels this presumed trip, it would put the United States at a diplomatic disadvantage because of all the publicity that it has received and all the threats that Xi Jinping has made regarding this trip. Ultimately, it would be up to the House Speaker to make the final decision. During their more than 2 hours of conversation, U.S. President Joe Biden assured Xi Jinping that the United States' position regarding Taiwan has not changed. However, one thing the White House would not answer is whether or not President Biden pressed his Chinese counterpart on the origins of COVID-19 or not. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.